Are we alone in the universe? Is there a portal to the past? Can we physically travel through time? And can a person come back from the dead? These are just some of the questions that continue to baffle and bewilder us. Though many have tried to answer them, not one definite conclusion has yet been given. This program will tackle that which is unexpected, unexplainable, and unorthodox. Is it destiny's sleight of hand? Or is it a nudge from God? Or maybe it's simply a matter of science. Chances are, anything is possible. Tonight, you'll hear stories about women who have been repeatedly raped and molested by unknown assailants. The attacks have been as violent, as vicious, and as terrifying as any case of sexual abuse would go. But unlike other victims, these women cannot seek justice for the crimes committed against them, nor can they prove the attacks or identify their attackers. That's because these sexual assaults were not committed by human beings with evil intent, but rather by demonic spirits, identified only as the incubi.
It may seem untrue, impossible even. But for those who have actually experienced it, being sexually molested by unknown and unseen entities is as real as it can be. Sexual assaults supposedly done by negative spirits and entities are not a usual occurrence. But reported cases of such abuse suggest that these incidents actually happen. In an article written by well-known paranormal expert Jaime Lecauco in 2006, an unknown spirit reportedly raped a 20-year-old woman in her sleep. The unseen molester would go on top of the victim and whisper words of affection, leaving the woman immobile and emotionally devastated. In 2007, similar occurrences allegedly happened to a woman in Nueva Ecija. A demonic spirit frequently visited and performed sexual acts on the victim while she was awake. It was in 2003 when 25-year-old Jhone started coming in contact with spirits purportedly from the outer world. It all started with voices calling her from different directions. Eventually, it worsened and grew out of control.
Yung una kasi nagpaparamdam muna. Yung mga paramdam in a way na parang may this oras na ng gabi, mga around 3:30, hirap pa ako makatulog. Parang may nakapasan sa dibdib ko, ganun lang.
Frightened and terrified, Jhone tried to ignore the incident, thinking that everything would pass. But she was wrong. The worst was yet to come. The lustful demonic entity allegedly raped her in her sleep.
May nangangalabit, tapos may hahalik, ganun. Yung ginagawa niya sa akin, parang hawakan niya yung sa mga braso sa hita. Tapos biglang dito na sa may bandang dibdib, pababa na, until na iba na yung ginagawa niya. Yung pinaka talaga na shock ako, kasi yung buhok niya, parang medyo mahaba. Tapos parang medyo naaninag ko lang yung itsura niya. Para rin siyang tao yung dating, pero parang iba yung color.
The demonic spirit was relentless. It would follow Jhone wherever she went. And on her third encounter, Jhone realized the need to seek help.
And yung sumunod naman, yung nakahiga ako, may naglalakad sa stairs So akala ko, friend ko na naman. Pagtingin ko, wala. And then yung sumunod na, parang na-arouse na ako. Tapos sabi ko, parang mali yung ganun Kasi kailangan ko mag-aral, ganyan-ganyan. So biglang dumating kasi sa point na na-arouse ako nang wala namang dahilan.
Until now, Jhone still feels disturbed and is petrified about the encounters with the unknown entity. The image of the spirit who allegedly raped her remains vivid and intact in her memory.
Minsan hindi na po ako mapakali, kahit naliligo sa CR, minsan nakabukas. Kasi minsan natatakot ako, biglang may sumisilip sa akin, o kaya may kakatok. Ganun po yung iniisip ko.
Ryan Valera, a member of the Spirit Questers Manila, has been investigating supernatural occurrences and events for 13 years. He calls Jhone's experience sexual molestation of spirits. These are demonic entities, commonly spirits, who seek sexual intercourse with humans. The perpetrators are called incubus. They attack females. The succubus attacks males.
This entity that would attack or lay with a human person, usually aggressively, and have intercourse with the humans. But most of the time, they don't really see what they look like. Minsan shadow, minsan pulang mata lang.
The first recorded accounts of spirit molestations apparently started during the medieval era, when people had little knowledge about the sexual aspects of life. Clergy and priests were the only sources of wisdom. With their religious teachings, historians believe that the people during these times were sexually oppressed, thus resulting in sexual deviance later attributed to demonic behavior by these clergymen. Incubus and succubus souls are sexually starved spirits, looking for energies to satisfy their pleasurable needs.
One possible explanation could be the incubus or the succubus feeds or needs the sexual energy to be able to thrive or to continue living.
Most of the time, they can be very violent and dangerous, leaving their victims badly hurt, physically, emotionally, and mentally.
We've had experiences where the victim would wake up, her or his clothes would be taken off or torn. There would be liquids all over their body or scratches. And supposedly, purportedly, that's done by the incubus or the succubus.
People who are sensitive and have an open channel, meaning those who can see beyond what we know as reality, are usually susceptible to these earthbound spirits. But most of the time, victims of spirit molestations are those who are going through emotional issues.
These are people who are lonely, who have really low self-confidence, or who are repressed, and sometimes they don't have a love life. So their energy, their wanting to be wanted, becomes like an attraction to the succubus or the incubus.
Jhone may have overcome her unseen attacker for now, but will she be completely safe from its sexual assaults? What can be done to prevent these vicious spirits from attacking humans? Find out more when Chances Are returns.
In his book, St. Thomas Aquinas discusses pregnancy through incubus encounters. William Shakespeare wrote about similar phenomenon in Romeo and Juliet. And in a recent interview, actress Lucy Liu admits to having sex with a mysterious spirit. Belief in the incubi and succubi date back to ancient times, though the demons seem to have persisted throughout the centuries and may still be among us, waiting to prey on the next victim.
Jhone Caballo is not the only one who claims to have been molested by spirits. Thousands and thousands of stories like hers from all over the world are published in books, newspapers, the internet, and even films. In the Philippines, one of the most famous stories was of Amanda Page, a sexy TV star in the late 90s. Her story was even investigated by respected spirit questers led by Jaime Licauco. The attacker is believed to be an incubus. One of the earliest mentions of an incubus dates back to the 6th millennium BC in Mesopotamia. When a Sumerian named Lilu died, his soul was lost in limbo, and it was believed that he disturbed and seduced women in their sleep. Incubus, or incubo in Latin, means nightmare, or to hang over, to lie in or dwell to. The French call it folle, the Spanish duende, and the Italians folletto. Whatever it's called, the name will always be attributed to something from the dark forces, something evil. When evil lurks in the darkness, the common belief is that the church can fight it. Father Andy Formilieza from the Benedictine Order says the church has been battling evil since the beginning of time.
They believe they wouldn't have exorcists if they don't believe if the church does not believe in existence of evil spirits and its ability to possess you.
There have been several citations in the Bible and in Christian studies about the existence of demons. It is believed that they take different forms, have different appearances, and possess different demonic powers. Incubi and their female counterparts, succubi, are described as being beautiful in order to accomplish their mission of seduction. The church calls these supernatural entities as simply evil. Thousands of accounts of the occult are published on the internet and periodicals. But the most celebrated case was from a devout Catholic named Annalise Michel, whose experience with the devil was made into a Hollywood film. The Exorcism of Emily Rose is based on the real-life experiences of Annalise Michel, a German Catholic girl believed to have been possessed by demons. Annalise suffered from seizures and was diagnosed as epileptic at the psychiatric clinic in Würzburg. She experienced depression and manifested violent behavior. After undergoing numerous medical treatments and finding no cure, Annalise began to attribute her condition to demonic possession and resorted to exorcism instead. Father Jojo Cerudo, an exorcist of the Archdiocese of Cubao, says that they are very careful in performing exorcism.
The prayer of exorcism cannot be made on a person who is a psychiatric case. That's why before the person is subjected to an exorcism, even before the person is interviewed, the person is asked to be subjected to a psychiatric evaluation.
Exorcism is the practice of evicting demons or spiritual entities from a person or place believed to have been possessed. Although there were no accounts of sexual molestation in Annalise's case, there are also numerous stories involving the attempted exorcism of incubi or succubi who have taken refuge in the bodies of men or women. However, performing exorcism is a practice that the Catholic Church do not readily offer, approve, or recommend.
An exorcism happens only when the priest, officially designated by the bishop, uses the official ritual of the church. You can't just use any ritual. You have to use the Roman ritual.
Roman ritual is the official ritual rites of the Roman Catholic Church when performing exorcism.
The concern here is that no violence should be done to the person being exorcised, except to tie him or to tie her if she herself grows violent.
Note too that not all encounters with incubi involve human possession.
There are three kinds of influences the devil exerts on man. An obsession is the devil playing with one's mind, and an oppression is the devil externally afflicting a person. Now, the moment the devil takes possession of the body of a person, then that becomes possession.
And since not all encounters result in human possession, exorcism for incubi victims are very limited.
Demons, because they believe demons still exist. So, although they have no more authority because of the Savior over human beings, but they can possess certain individuals.
Parang nararamdaman ko may humahawak na sa legs ko, gumaganyan. Tapos dito, tapos parang may dumaga na sa akin, wala akong makita.
Jhone Caballo was sexually harassed and abused on 4 separate occasions, though she can probably consider herself lucky compared to our next case study. For the past 5 years now, Vita has been haunted and repeatedly raped by a spirit whom she believes to be the devil incarnate.
The victims are convinced by what they saw and experienced. The church is firm with what they believe in, and psychics are committed to stand against these evil forces. Scientists, however, have formed a different conclusion regarding sexual molestations of humans by spirit entities. In psychology, based on scientific tests and analysis, a person is highly vulnerable in their sleep, while falling asleep and while awaking from sleep. Psychologist Antover Tuliao says that the victim's experiences can be attributed to a natural state which they call sleep paralysis.
Part nung cycle natin is for our body to really paralyze. No, yung mind natin, pinaparalyze niya yung katawan so that we don't act out our dreams.
Experts even suggest that in some cases, the alleged incubus attacks can be just as plain and simple as having a dream.
What we can only ascribe is the person misinterpreted the whole thing. Kasi our mind is powerful, it's very, very powerful. Not in the sense that we can move things around with our minds, but we can actually create a whole reality with our mind and actually believe it.
Although most of the recorded cases of incubi and succubi attacks take place while the victims were asleep, there are those who claim to have experienced them even while wide awake. This is the story of Vita, a young single professional who refuses to reveal her identity on television. Vita swears to have been attacked by an incubus as she was getting ready for bed.
Matutulog na ako. So, nagpe-prepare na ako, ganyan. Tapos nakahiga na ako. Tapos, siguro yung pagkahiga ko, mga 5 or 10 minutes, ganun. May naramdaman ako na yung humot dito sa may paanan ko, parang tumaas siyang ganun. Parang tumaas. So, noong umpisa, hindi ako nag-isip ng parang inisip ko lang, baka hinangin or gumalaw ba ako.
The attacks started 5 years ago, and they occurred as often as thrice a week.
Parang nararamdaman ko may humahawak na sa legs ko, gumaganyan. Tapos dito, tapos parang may dumaga na sa akin, wala akong makita. Kumbaga, kung pipikit ka, parang iniisip mo may tao. Pero wala akong makita, wala akong makitang mukha, wala. Tapos ayun na, hanggang sa dito na yung damit ko dito yung t-shirt ko, tumaas na dito sa tiyan ko. Tapos dito, parang may humahalik na para kang dinidilaan. Tapos kung saan na ako hinahawakan, ganun, nakakatakot.
Vita decided to keep this to herself. She had never confessed her experience to anyone, not to her family, her friends, not even to her boyfriend.
Gusto mong humingi ng tulong. Pero hindi, nakakahiya kasi baka sabihin baliw ka, di ba?
She also thought that moving into a different place might solve her problem. But no matter where she went, the evil entity continued to follow and haunt her.
So lumipat kami. Tapos dun sa nilipatan namin, ganun pa rin.
The attacks continued, forcing Vita to move from one house to another, staying in one place for no longer than 6 months with the hope that the evil entity will leave her alone. But in the end, this did not hinder the attacker to perform its evil deed. On one encounter, Vita finally saw her attacker, and what she saw sent shivers through her body as she came face to face with what she believes is the devil himself.
Tapos, pagdilat ko, yung smoke, pag ganun, sa kisame, dyan sa dingding, na siya, form siya ng tao, pero wala siyang mukha, at saka hindi mo madidistinguish kung naglalakad siya, o umaakyat ba siya sa dingding, o lumilipad ba siya, o lumulutang.
Unfortunately, up to this day, these evil molestations continue to plague her.
Actually, pwede nga nilang tanungin yung nag-rape sa kanila kung bakit. Yung sa akin, hindi ko nga makita yung mukha eh. Tsaka hindi mo alam kung kailan. Hindi ka makalaban kasi hindi mo alam kung ano nilalabanan mo.
To investigate Vita's case, we sought the help of Ateneo's Spirit Questers, a group of volunteer psychics who have had numerous encounters with paranormal entities, including the entity in query, the incubus. Ryan Valera is accompanied by fellow psychics Pichi Gioquino and Juno Olimpo. We brought them to Vita's house to scan the place and to try to detect the presence of non-human entities.
Exhale. Imagine whenever you inhale white light getting into you, your chest, clear crystal ball the size of a bowling ball. Explode into multicolored lights. You just relax.
After the scanning, the questers conferred to get the consensus of the group. And the result?
We sensed an entity behind you, attached to you from behind. We could confirm it's something paranormal, something supernatural, but we can't really discern what it really is.
Kahit paano, kahit hindi pa siya fully na-explain kung ano talaga. Pero kahit paano, nagkakaroon ako ng knowledge kung yun, katulad ng tower flight, kung paano ko ipoprotect ang sarili ko.
In general, and without direct reference to Vita, Professor Tuliao downplays the spirit molestation as probably nothing more than the effect of a previous traumatic experience.
So, of course, it's human nature for you to really enjoy sex, feel urges. So, because society said na no, that's sinful, that's bad, and these women feel it, nagkakaroon sila ng problem. What am I going to do with this? So they ascribed it to the presence of demons seducing them, molesting them.
Science gives a harsher theory, that sometimes these encounters with incubi and succubi could possibly be signs of a mental illness, schizophrenia.
They have delusions. No, it's a symptom of their disorder, and typically these individuals, no, they sometimes see, hear, feel things that are not there, or they have beliefs that are contrary to reality, and it is a symptom really of their illness.
But judging from Vita's experience, this is where our professor's expertise ends.
That's part of the sleep cycle talaga, yung mga in-between na ganun. Kung saan papatulog ka na, because you're going into that, but you're still somehow awake, and then but you see something, or you hear something, you feel something, no? So that's pretty normal. But kung medyo detailed talaga yung kanyang seduction or sexual experience, I highly doubt na it's going to be, it's really has something to do with yung part na ganun. Paralysis, probably, yung sleep paralysis. But if they say that, oh, I had a sexual intercourse, dito niya ako hinawakan and whatnot, probably not.
When they go into light sleep, sometimes they have this inappropriate behavior, and sometimes they even touch their own thing.
Sexual encounters between mortals and spirits have been acknowledged by both pagans and believers, by the educated and the unlearned. But the question remains, are these demons part of our reality, or just ruminations of a disturbed and troubled psyche?
To date, the incubi and succubi phenomena remain one of the most controversial, most baffling, and still unresolved mysteries of the spirit world. It is a debate that continues to be argued upon. On one side, the voice of experience, and on the other side, the voice of reason. Dr. Roland de la Eva has been a sleep specialist for more than 10 years, and today, he is willing to unlock some of the ambiguities behind the strange phenomenon affecting men and women for many years.
There's such a what you call the hat phenomenon, no? Like wherein the patient, when he sleeps, sometimes he cannot move, he cannot breathe, as if he's being struggled.
In the case of Jhone, old hag syndrome, commonly known as sleep paralysis, could very well explain why such occurrences happen to her. But it's not always the case, explains Dr. De La Eva. There could be other factors that could lead to sleep paralysis, but can be classified into another serious problem: breathing.
It's more of like the breathing problem we're in. The person experiences as if he cannot breathe because the muscles don't have any tone at all, so they cannot breathe.
Spirit molestation has also been associated with dreaming, which normally is the accepted truth to this occurrence. Dreams happen during rapid eye movement. It is the last stage of sleep wherein there is rapid, low-voltage brainwaves, irregular breathing, irregular heart rate, and involuntary muscle jerks that make the mind and body vulnerable to abnormal behavior like what Jhone experienced.
There are some people, when they go into light sleep, sometimes they have this inappropriate behavior, and sometimes they even touch their own thing. And when they wake up, of course, sometimes they think that some extraordinary thing has been happening.
Dr. De La Eva adds that hallucinations could also be one reason why people experience spirit molestations, but clears that it has not been proven yet by science.
They can just be part of these hallucinations. Kasi these hallucinations are really frightening, and they cannot move. They cannot move even their fingers, and they cannot breathe. Kaya sabi nila parang something is like, pressing on their chest and hugging them.
To further understand the incubi and how people who have experienced them behave, we accompanied Jhone to a psychiatrist for consultation. Dr. Raymond Chanco agreed to have Jhone undergo a series of tests to assess her condition. The process is called mini mental status examination. Consultation was first on the process.
Meron ka bang nainom na gamot during the time o na under the influence ka of any medication or alcohol? Wala. So talagang normal na tulog mo yon, nagkataon lang na talagang parang totoo yung nangyari.
Dr. Chanco then asked Jhone to interpret several images and draw them the way she visualizes them. After an hour of examination, Dr. Chanco finds nothing unusual about Jhone's rational state.
I reviewed the symptoms. Wala naman siyang evidence of any overt mental problem or disorder.
Even Jhone's brain activities never revealed unusual behavior that could be disturbing and would need immediate attention.
Yung brain functions naman niya are okay. So probably it must be a dream state that was really for real or for looks real or sounded or felt like real for her. And this happens in some normal people.
But Dr. Chanco admits that there was some information which Jhone kept undisclosed, which could help further assess her condition.
She might have some underlying conflicts that are subconscious, and she may not want to relay it because of some private reasons.
Patients like Jhone who have been allegedly molested by incubus spirits usually suffer extreme conditions that almost always result in major disorders.
Depression can be one. It can be a sexual dysfunction, part of a sexual dysfunction, or a part of an anxiety disorders. It is non-specific. Actually, incubus can happen in various other states.
Incubi attacks may be true based on the accounts of people who have experienced them, but according to Dr. Chanco, it's far from being real. There are several conditions often mistaken as incubus attacks, but are actually a different mental disorder.
In some patients, let's say in schizophrenia, if they have a delusion, which means a false belief, they may actually have bizarre dreams.
Unang-una, kung sakit siya, paano siya gagamutin? Pangalawa, kung dahil sa malungkot, sa depression, sa may problema ako. Maraming tao may problema. Sa kanila ba nangyayari rin yun?
Chances are, together with venue partner Bonifacio Global City, held a successful fun run last April 26.
3, 2, 1, go!
Dubbed as Step Up for a Cause, the race was for the benefit of the Fe del Mundo Medical Center. Over 1,300 runners participated in the 5-kilometer and 10-kilometer events. After just a few minutes, the first finishers of the race started arriving.
Runner number 1.
Bold runner pala, bold runners. Maraming salamat, Gerald.
Hi, Gerald. Kamuning! Naku, di tatakbo rin ko.
Step Up for a Cause raised a total of 196,950 pesos that was immediately handed over to Jose Ronaldo de los Santos, treasurer of the Fe del Mundo Medical Center. The charity event was made successful with the support of our sponsors, Sunsilk, Champion, Rebisco, and My Juice. When a woman admits to being raped, she's likely to be criticized, maligned, and persecuted, both by her attacker and by society itself. How difficult it must be to endure the physical, mental, and emotional torture of being violated and abused by another human being. What more for the woman who admits to being sexually assaulted by an assailant who is not only invisible, but invincible as well.
Accounts of the unknown, the otherworldly, and supernatural have been recorded throughout history. They include tales about entities who allegedly exist to feed on human desires and sexual frustrations, known as the incubus and succubus.
It might be what we call a dissociative state, and dissociative state is a frame of mind wherein your mind is dissociated from yourself, your ego. So you experience some things that may not be related to your ego, like deja vu, other experiences which are maybe sometimes hallucinatory, but you're considered normal.
In the case of Jhone, her experience with the unknown will be part of her cruel past, a past she's eager to leave behind. But she remains firm about what she believes in and stands by the authenticity of her story.
Pagka sa panaginip lang, medyo para sa hindi ko masyado kini-question. Kasi panaginip nga. Pero yung paramdam na may kasama, yun yung kini-question ko.
Even science is bound to face something which even they cannot fully comprehend.
For science, it has to be observable, it has to be measurable, it has to follow some scientific rules, it has to pass through the scientific method for us to really say that it really exists. But of course, somehow we couldn't negate naman the experience of the individual. That's the gray area.
For Vita, it's a continuous battle. She is still struggling to win over the alleged spirit who continues to molest her. Experts agree that incubus and succubus accounts can be summed up into cases of schizophrenia, sleep paralysis, mental illness, or even just a lucid dream. But for victims like Vita, their experience is something even science cannot fully discredit.
Unang-una, kung sakit siya, paano siya gagamutin? Pangalawa, kung dahil sa malungkot, sa depression, sa may problema ako. Maraming tao may problema. Sa kanila ba nangyayari rin yun?
What bothers Vita more than the evil spirit that haunts her are the people who have judged her because of her story.
Sana, katulad na lang rin nila ako na tumatawa ako sa mga tao nangyayaring ganyan. Hindi ako yung nakakaranas. Kasi hindi nila alam kung gaano siya nakaka-apekto sa buhay ng tao nangyayari yun.
For years, Vita tries to move forward, to have a life just like anyone. But somehow, fear creeps in.
Gusto kong malaman nila, pero parang pati kasi sila mandadamay. Kaya wag na lang. Iisipan pa nila kung anong mangyayari sa akin. Bibigyan mo lang ng problema yung ibang tao.
Vita remains hopeful that one day, the evil spirit will leave her in peace, and the days of fear will soon pass.
Sa ngayon, pinipilit ko muna maging matatag hanggat hindi pa talaga nawawala. Alam ko mawawala rin.
There are many sides to a story, and people have their own versions of reality. When something extraordinary happens, people's interpretations will always vary. Because in the grand scheme of things, chances are, anything is possible.